Hi folks, you're with Tassus today at your Pushback channel. While you're with us, please take a moment to subscribe below and don't forget to hit that notification bell symbol. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the decline of spirituality in the West. What does it mean? And perhaps just as importantly, what does it portend? What price, if any, might Western society ultimately pay for the loss of something that has been so central to Western civilization for so many centuries? While I'm hardly a religious man and therefore perhaps completely unqualified to render meaningful opinion, it also means I've very little skin in the game, as it were, and perhaps therefore objective enough to opine on matters subject to so much controversy. For Christian religion generally, the political activist globalist left has reserved a special place of enmity deep in their hearts, so much so that they have lost all reason and judgment in regard to Christianity and its accompanying spirituality. The SJW globalist media has not even bothered to objectively report on church affairs, instead acting like some two-bit lynch mob determined to defame and malign Christianity, and of all religions, only Christianity, at every turn. Communism and socialism always listed religion along with the family unit as being among the main obstacles to state socialist thought control, and so it is today amongst the leftists. The church establishment, and particularly the Catholic Church, of course have not done themselves any favours, as confessions by certain members of the clergy in regard to highly inappropriate behaviour attest. Some even admit to committing such acts while wearing the cross of Jesus, causing even near agnostics such as myself to recoil. Yet, do Christian stories, parables, sentiments and exhortations any longer have a role to play in our societies? And if not, what might replace such sentiments? What might be a reasonable alternative? Or does the absence of Christianity create a wandering vacuum into which angry street mobs pour their ignorance and hatreds, the development of a professional accuser class and arbitrary justice? Do we want a society where compassion of the Good Samaritan is taught, where we learn of the poor widow who should not be sneered at and ridiculed by those more fortunate? Or do we prefer the sentiments of those who are taught to, for example, kill all white people, or to declare anyone they don't like is a Nazi, and then to exhort others to punch and beat Nazis? Do we want a society where we are guided to bear false witness against our neighbours? If we take religion away and the spirituality that comes with it, we must be very afraid, or should be very afraid, of what might replace it. Now consider the following, and let's call it a modernised parable. A mob with stones in hand is chasing a woman down a dark and damp city back alley. She is desperately trying to escape and whimpering with fear. As she runs, her breath becomes deeper, her throat dry as the fatigue of the running starts to slow her down. She knows they will be upon her soon. A rock strikes her on the arm and she winces in pain. Her clothes catch on a gate and she struggles to free herself. The mob shouts as one, exultant as they see her caught. Another rock glances ahead, cutting it and drawing blood. She is frantic now and tears her clothing before running down another alley. But it is a dead end. She tries one doorway, then another, then another. They are locked tight shut, silent to her mounting fear. Frantically weeping and crying, she tries to climb a fence, but she has no strength left and sinks to the ground with her hands over her head, weeping quietly, knowing her fate is nigh. She can do nothing. A shout goes up from the mob, a shout of those possessed by unrestrained bloodlust, and they savour the moment. She pleads piteously for her life, but the mob is there to kill this woman. "Lesbian!" screams the mob of men and women, and they prepare their stones and rocks for the stoning to come. She prays the first rock will bring the merciful release of unconsciousness, and she curls into a ball, hands over her head, weeping quietly. She knows this is the end. Then just at that moment, when all hope was lost, a man steps forward and places himself between the hysterical mob and the woman. "Move," the mob shouts angrily at the man. "We are to stone this lesbian to death. We will not be denied justice. Justice," they say. Unmoved by the mob, the man picked up a stone and, walking towards the mob, offered each one of them the stone and said, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." The man tried to place the rock into the hands of each one of the mob, and each one of them refused and looked away, ashamed at what they had become and the intent that had consumed them, and they began to disperse until none remained. The man then went to the woman and gently raised her up, held her trembling hands and said to her, "You may go freely now, no one will harm you." And it was so. That man was Jesus, and the religion he was so central to swept across most of Europe over the coming centuries. So much so, it became among the primary binding social forces in Europe for more than 1,000 years, until it was to share primacy with Reformation, the Enlightenment, scientific reasoning, and national identity. The Christian parables of undeniable goodness, kindness, and generosity of spirit are worth telling and retelling and telling again. And these include the Good Samaritan, the widow's mite, the coat of many colours, and expressions such as do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Many of the 10 Commandments are as relevant today as they were 5,000 years ago, and these include honour your parents, do not kill, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not covet other people's possessions. Now, Christianity is not perfect, and those theologians who deliver its spirituality to the people also have their faults. Yet a Western world without the basic goodness of Christianity will or may lose its moral compass, its righteousness, its goodness, its understanding of the difference between right and wrong, and it may very well be recast as a Marxist-inspired screeching street mob, baying, kill all whites, everyone's a Nazi. And as a society in the West, we need to choose. Which one will you choose? You've been with Tacitus today at Your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.